Hi, true crime grapevine fans. It's me, Patty Lee. Okay, rough day, still sick people in my house. But did I watch true crime? Yes. There's so much true crime all the time that if I look at my funny little hair thing, if I don't get going on it, it gets out of control so fast. So today's Thursday. By the way, it's me, Patty Lee, if you didn't know. I'm your armchair true crime dyslexic detective. Hi. What am I here for? If you're new, I watch all the true crime on all the YouTube channels, and I watch the news channels, and I read the actual papers, especially the local news from the areas, and then what everybody's talking about on the grapevine. If I heard it on the grapevine, I'm going to sit down at nighttime and tell you in our nightcap. Tonight I have a hot toddy. Oh, and if you notice, I'm wearing my Murals Inlet South Cackalack sweatshirt because we're going to be talking about South Cackalack tonight. Oh, do we have stories? And by the way, it's not just Murdoch. Oh no, it's not. There's a lot. There's other crazy people. And guess what? I don't even think they're rich. So I don't know why they're not getting caught. It's very strange in South Carolina. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. Very strange. Okay, so what are we talking about? Oh, what everybody's talking about. We've got, Idaho 4. There's a gag order on the case. So should anybody really be talking about it? No. Is anybody talking about it? Yes. Why? Because people can't shut their mouths. And because especially the big nations, sorry, Freudian slip. The big news networks, well, they need the clicks and the eyeballs. So when there's nothing to talk about, they find something, even if it could hurt the case, it could hurt the person they're speaking with, and it's a little inappropriate. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. If you didn't get my drift, it's about Xana's mom, which they totally took advantage of. Half Moon Bay shooting. I didn't discuss this yet. We've had so many shootings. It's kind of crazy. The Half Moon Bay shooting came after the Iowa shooting, and then after the other shooting in California during the Lunar New Year's Eve, the dance hall shootings. California's going through it, people. We've got some Lori Vallow. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Rub the genie lamp motions. I say rub the genie lamp because don't you guys worry though. I have a solution for you. I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on YouTube. Allegedly. And we have, okay, so besides Alec Murdoch, which we'll talk about, because I forgot his opening statements yesterday. I had a sick kid. It was just crazy here. I did get a chance to look up. There's another case with the South Carolinian 30-year-old man who basically attempted murder, somehow got on bond, was out on bond, killed two of his relatives he was living with, allegedly, got out on bond for that case, and now shot and killed somebody else in the neighborhood he was living with now. I hope they don't give him bond this time. I'm just saying, 3 strikes and you're out, right? I mean, at least to await trial. There have been so many cases we've seen where people don't make bond for very good reasons. Let's say, I don't know, Brian Walsh. Okay? So I'm just saying, I do not understand this at all. At all. I mean, and I looked him up. Besides living on Pawleys Island, you guys, all his addresses look like dog patch, or that's what we call it around here. I mean, and I personally, I don't have a job besides being on YouTube. So I'm not making a lot of money. So I'm not judging about like where he lives. What I'm saying is, like Alec Murdoch, you figure, we talked about his prestige and his family owned the county. This guy doesn't seem to have anything, and he's just murdering people left and right, getting out on bond, doing it some more. Woohoo! I don't know. Is there more? Is he like some secret CIA agent? Is there something else he's given? Is he a secret agent? I don't know. We're going to talk about him. And then the West case of the West Boys. We have a little update on that. And yeah, I think that covers what we're going to talk about. Okay, so case number 1, the biggest thing all over the YouTubes. Why? Because they can't talk about anything else related to the Idaho 4. Because right now we're in that weird space where people are getting ready for trial. And not only is there a gag order, there's like a double gag order. And nobody's supposed to be talking, including victims' families. Which brings us to Xana's mom. Xana's mom's name is Kara. News Nation found Kara. And if you remember me talking about yesterday, the thing everybody was talking about was, oh my gosh, the public defender used to represent Xana's mom. How can she represent Brian? Okay, so while everybody who is a lawyer explains it this way, yeah, it kind of feels gross, but you have to understand, a public defender is not a private attorney. Xana's mom didn't seek out and sign a contract with this woman, number one. She was assigned. Public defenders, whoever comes in, walks in the door, if you have case openings, you can take more cases, you get more cases. Just whoever, you're assigned a case. And then if you are what they call, I have some friends who are in law enforcement, and they call certain people frequent flyers. That means they see them a lot. If you are a frequent flyer in the public defender's office, especially for the same thing over and over again, let's just say, I don't know, drugs. You might they might just assign you to the person who had you before, because now you've got a huge case file and that person knows your whole case file. But if something else big comes up for that lawyer in between all your stuff, I mean, they will be reassigned. And that's how the cookie crumbles when you don't pay for your own lawyer. You don't pay for them. It's the public defender's office, not the individual lawyers. And actually, the lawyer, Peter Tragos, shout out to Peter Tragos in Florida, Tragos Law. He does a lot of civil work, some criminal. His dad does like the big felony criminal laws. They are great. I highly recommend his YouTube streams. He was very kind and pointed out that, like, while this all feels gross, even when you hire a private attorney, you hire the firm. And he gave the example of let's just use the steakhouse, Smith and Lewinsky. Is that famous steakhouse? Something like that. So I'm just going to say Smith and Lewinsky. You might go with Smith. Smith's your lawyer. But if Smith has something else going on and can't represent you in something, then Lewinsky will take over and do it for you, because you've hired the firm. And you might work with one, but it's the firm that you hire. So the public defender's office defends the public, and they are assigned cases. And when it gets crazy, if you have a big, huge case, let's say you're the only death penalty lawyer in that public defender's office, and that public defendant's case comes up, you drop everything else, you sign all your waivers, I'm out of here for these people, and you do the work for the person that you're assigned. So Ann Taylor was assigned Brian Koberger. She did not pick him. She did not get to choose. I mean, I don't know if she's the head of that office, but she's the only death qualified person they have in that office for lead death qualified counsel. And if you're a true crime lover and you've been following the Valadavo case, you would know that Lori, after Mark Means, Mark Means, who loved Lori so much, was not death qualified, and he could not do the death penalty work. Then she needed a death penalty lawyer who was because it was the public then defending that was paying. And so they gave her a death qualified attorney. She had a lead, and then she has a second person. And to be the lead, you have to have sat as second counsel, second seat on a death penalty case and gone all the way through it with the other lawyer. So it's kind of like you have to go through that apprentice. Okay, so that's not a lot of people. And we also know from the Lori Valadavo case is that they don't like moving people. I mean, the public then has to pay when people have to travel far distances. So you want the person in the area. Unfortunately for Xana's mom, the person that was assigned her case and has been assigned her case was reassigned. Had to be. And I mean, she's still got the defender's office. Now, all the scuttlebutt was just talk, and we know everybody needs to talk because there's a 24/7 news cycle. The problem was they contacted her. She appears, just speculation, to still be using. And then it becomes a matter of ethics and journalism. And she is a victim's parent, even though, admittedly, she hasn't spent a lot of time with Xana. I don't think she ever went to the house. I think she talked and kept in contact that way, but she did not. I don't even think she raised Xana and her sister because she had, I mean, and it's okay. People have issues. People are addicted. That happens to a lot of people in our society, and it's not always their quote unquote fault, right? But I mean, it just is. So, but journalists know that one, there's a gag order against victims' families talking, and two, it's pretty well understood why Xana's mom, Kara, uses the public defenders, why she's a frequent flyer there. They can look up her record, and they did, and we heard about it, and I'm not going to reiterate it here because it's really got nothing to do with Xana's anything. And when people go, yeah, but maybe it was a drug, like, okay, well, maybe it was aliens too. I mean, we're going to stick to there's like infinite number of possibilities, and then there's like reasonable, rational, limited probabilities. And then within those probabilities, what does the evidence seem to point towards? That's how I run things. It's not popular because you know what? It's not dramatic. I'm not pitchfork Patty. I'm not out there. What I am today, though, is I am pissed that they used a woman who doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't understand the system. I don't know if she was contacted. I don't know if she has a permanent address for people to contact her. I don't know if she was contacted and doesn't remember it. I have no idea what her cognitive situation is, but I do know that the news people that spoke to her seem to understand. I mean, and I believe the person that actually interviewed her, I think she has law. She might be a lawyer. I have to look that up. A lot of these people are lawyers who then end up being commentators. Regardless, asking an addict about fine details of legalities is irresponsible, and stirring up trouble is irresponsible because it's not a conflict of interest. Why? Because number one, there is nothing to do with Santa's mom's drug use and what happened to her daughter. There just isn't. There's no evidence, zero connection. If there became a connection, then there might be a problem, but there isn't. And there isn't. So does it feel like it's a weird thing that whatever, but it's also a very small town. Did you grow up in a small town? I grew up in a small town. If that's all the people in a small town, guess what? Pretty soon everybody knows somebody and has like unless you represent, they said like two people you can't hear somebody's idea like in a divorce already spoke to your husband about the same matter, the divorce, then that's a conflict of interest. But if two people get into a car accident and they're in a car together going to their divorce and they want to sue those people, it's about the case. I hope that makes sense. And I hope you understand that there was a lot of people on Twitter when things were getting heated about politics, and people who understand psychological operations. One of the things is our enemies out in the world divide and conquer. Get people to fight amongst themselves. It's a lot easier to attack people if they're already infighting. And that's very common. That's been known for thousands of years. This guy wrote a book called The Art of War. Number one thing in The Art of War is get them to fight each other. They'll do gender, sexual things, different generations, and how we talk about things, like just to get people angry with the other person. They said, be careful when you get that feeling right away, like I'm so angry. Think about what triggered that feeling, and is it divisiveness for the sake of divisiveness? It's kind of a meta thing. And it's a meta thing. If you know, you know. Anyways, so Xana's mom to say, isn't the system bad? Aren't these people taking advantage of you? Isn't this a conflict of interest? It's just a story. It's like a soap opera. It's a storyline. Please don't fall into it. Don't. Because all the lawyers who are rational, and nobody wants to listen to rational, because that's not exciting, right? It's like watching PBS instead of watching Maury, and the people fighting, or Jerry Springer. I mean, who wants to watch people have a normal conversation that, oh, I disagree. Well, I disagree with you. Okay, here's my point. Here's my point. That's not very exciting. But when people scream and yell, maybe throw chairs, people are like, yeah, that's crazy. That's this. Okay. So Xana's mom needs help. She will get help. The public defender they will assign somebody else. She's not being left out in the cold. She just doesn't understand that maybe yet. It will get taken care of, and she will be represented. Number one. And I hope she gets well. Number two. Number three, I'm hoping that this will get News Nation to sort of like maybe go, maybe we stepped over the line. Maybe that wasn't quite cool to do. Maybe we should leave like troubled people. Maybe we shouldn't we don't know what that woman, I heard she fell down and had a relapse because of Xana's death. And to them be told like, and your lawyer doesn't like you anymore either. Don't you feel betrayed? What if she offs herself? And then they'll have a news story. See, that's the thing. These are real people. These aren't just stories, because mark my words, guarantee this. I've watched it happen with a YouTuber friend of mine. I'm not going to say the whole situation, but with the advent of using YouTubers in the area, because it's like another thing you can do. It's one more segment, right? They will drop you as soon as you're no longer giving them some grist for their mill. You're done. Oh, you're all important until, in high school, talk about the grapevine, right? Here, come sit down to me. What do you know? What do you know? Okay, now I know what you know. No, you're not. Then maybe you're not so important to me anymore. It's no different than that. So let's just be more critical consumers. Let's consume responsibly. Information and other things. All right. So prayers for good thoughts or vibes or whatever you think towards her mom. The second thing, the Half Moon Bay situation. All right. It is sad when we can't keep up with mass shootings because they have like similar people. And I kind of got confused with the shooting that happened in the dance halls because it was an older Asian man. And we had just talked all about it. And then there was the Iowa shooting where 2 people were killed, and it was like at a school situation. And then this other thing happened, and in my brain, it's called pairing, when you like accidentally fuse 2 things because they have enough similar things that you've made it one in your brain. It happens to everybody. It's just a cognitive problem, and it happens. So I thought there was another shooting, and then when I looked it up, I kept getting stuff about the dance hall of the Lunar New Year dance hall shooting that killed. Now I think it's 11. So this was a shooting. 7 people lost their lives, and I'm not going to say it's interesting, but it involves a immigrant man, but he seems to have immigrated in his 50s. I don't really understand his story. That was the thing, is I felt it was a little not we. I don't. I don't know enough about immigration. I don't know if he was one of the groups that in mainland China they are actively putting into like camps, similar to what happened in the Holocaust. Actually, I think they're called Uyghurs. They're different ethnicity. I mean, they're Chinese, but they're from a different ethnic strain. Whatever. Somehow they don't have stars upon theirs. I always refer back to Dr. Seuss with like when people decide these people are not enough like us, and so therefore we shall, say that they're worthless. Anyway, so I don't know if he belonged to that group, and that's how he qualified, because usually people, he didn't seem to have a large family here. He is 66 years old. He said he's been here 11 years. He worked in the farm industry outside of, I don't know what farming, but it's Half Moon Bay is, I believe that's where the guy from Train lives, near Half Moon Bay. It's near like San Francisco and the wineries. So I don't know if it's a grape farm, but he shot at two of these farms, and he said he was angry about being bullied and the working conditions. And I guess the farm workers, they live like, they don't always have running water. They live in one room, like shanties, not unlike migrants historically have been taken advantage of, right? Uh, 6 of the 7 he shot were also older Asian farm workers as well, and one was, I believe, of Mexican heritage descent. Let me get the names of the people, because I do think it's important to say who these people were. You know. All right. So the people who were shot, Jinli Liu, 73, of San Francisco. Remember, these were people working at this farm. Song Chen, 66, from Half Moon Bay. Marcino Martinez Jimenez, 50, from Moss Bean. Yiteo Bing, 43, and they did not know where their residence was. And Yang Zheng, or Zhang, 74, from San Francisco. So the man himself was 66. Also, 6 months before, they said there was another shooting that happened. He worked at the California Terra Gardens, but he also went to the Half Moon Bay farms. Oh wait, there's 2 farms targeted. Sorry, what is the name of the other farm? But he worked at the California Terra Gardens farm, and one of the farm's managers, 6 months before this, a 49-year-old Martin Medina, he lived in a trailer there, and he was attempting to kill his coworkers and the coworkers' family. So there seems to be a lot of bad working conditions, long hours, so maybe some working abuse of people who can't speak English and are dependent on, speculation allegedly. Not that that means you should do anything. But also then I wondered, he said he drove himself after doing this Monday. He ended up the next day driving, or maybe, I don't know if it was reported today. I don't know what day he did this, but drove himself to the sheriff's substation and turned himself in. And he spoke to a reporter from channel, local NBC channel. And this woman, her name's Janelle. She speaks Mandarin, so she was able to speak to him, and he had an interpreter in court, but not at the jail. And he talked to her for 15 minutes, and he explained that he was so frustrated and angry, and he said, but he just doesn't know what happened. He wasn't in his right mind. And I don't know, are people being triggered somehow? It's just weird that we've had now, in the span of a week, 2 older Asian men, like older, He was 66. I think the other man was in his 70s, losing their minds. Now, the other guy shot himself, so we don't know what his feelings were. But I don't know. It's very strange. Very strange. Very strange. Anyways, I'm ready to go down a rabbit hole that we don't need tonight. Okay, so Lori's case. Archibald he made a motion to dismiss. And Chad's lawyer, of course, John Pryor wants more time. And I have the perfect solution. Are you guys ready? So this is our third case for tonight. Let's take a drink. Drink of them if you got them. I have the solution of the year for this. Okay, so remember that Lori still has murder charges for the unaliving of Charles Vallow in Arizona. So what about this? Idaho goes, okay, we'll dismiss these charges for now. You have to go to Arizona and answer to them. And by the time Arizona's done with her, and then Chad, hey, Chad, take your time. We'll give you however long you need prior. And now you have no excuse for not being ready. We'll do the DNA. You can get your mediation expert, your DNA expert, and then we'll refile. And, you two are sealed forever. Isn't that a great, I think that's the perfect compromise. Everybody's happy. Lori's still in jail and she'll be charged for the murder of Charles Vallow in Arizona. Chad gets his extra time. He's already waived his speedy trial. And then they can just refile for Lori and try them together. Perfect, right? If you like my solution, please give my stream a thumbs up. That would be great. And if you're watching me for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. You don't really have to watch it every time. But if you do want to catch up, I go live every night sometime, we don't know when, between 9 and 11 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm here for you because there really is too much crime and not enough time. And I'll tell you what everybody's saying on the grapevine, and you'll also get my viewpoint. Okay, so that's about the Lori case. But for right now, it's still going in April. I don't think Boyce will. They're not getting their case dismissed. You had 2 babies that now we know you admit you knew they were killed next door by your brother and you didn't say anything. You went to Hawaii. Girl, tell your story walking. Okay, before we end with the Murdaugh stuff, let me just tell you about a new case. Who retweeted this? It might have been Big E. The docket at Chasing Papers 89. Follow him on Twitter. He has the best. He gets all the documents. Okay, here's the deal. This is our 4th case, 5th case. Drink them. Drink, everybody. I love tea. Okay. Ryan O'Neill Woodruff, 30. So Ryan O'Neill. We already know his mom has a sense of humor, right? Or really, really loved Ryan O'Neill. Ryan O'Neill Woodruff, 30 years old, from South Cackalack, actually completely from Georgetown County, in Georgetown, and sometimes lived apparently on Pawleys Island, which I thought meant he was rich, but all the addresses connected to the unaliving of his relatives, and then where he supposedly lives now, and the unaliving of the man that he allegedly shot recently. They don't look great. So here's what happened. This man, at 11:30 on the 23rd, so almost the 24th, he shot an 18-year-old Georgetown resident and killed him. Allegedly, he is accused of killing Tcgv, Tyquez DeMartis Walker. So Tyquez Walker, 18 years old, was killed by this man, shot allegedly, and he was arrested. He was detained at the scene. Now, here's what we know about him. Yeah, he was out on bond for the May 2021 murders of Deborah Goins and Roger Woodruff Sr. They, according to all my research, I went down a rabbit hole today. They are related. They're siblings. They are the two youngest siblings of, I believe, 9 children. Yes. So their parents had 9 children, and their parents are from Georgetown, South Carolina. They all go to the same church and have from way back the Sampa United Methodist Church. Shout out to the Methodists. Sorry, I was baptized Methodist. So I think that means that was either he's 30 and they were in their 60s. So aunt and uncle or one of them was a grandparent and the other one was an uncle. Is that right? Or great? I'm getting it. They're related to him, and it doesn't say exactly how. I was trying to figure it out. But there was another brother named Ryland, and his name is Ryan. So maybe he's Ryland's kid. Okay. So how did those people die? Well, they were beat to death. He was living with them and he beat them to death, allegedly. Why do I say he beat them to death? So somebody came to check on them, a welfare check, the neighbors, because he had a girlfriend. Yeah, the girlfriend said, yeah, he was beating her too. She almost died afterwards. He's going to take care of the witness, I guess. But instead, she told on him. So when he committed that crime, at that time in May of 2022, he was awaiting a bond hearing for an attempted murder charge for an unrelated incident. So, what do you think? Who is Ryan O'Neal Woodruff? Who is he? He doesn't seem to be like rich, well-known, well-connected. He doesn't look to be a lawyer or any other good old boy network. So why the hell is he constantly out on bond killing people? Allegedly. Just my speculation. Something is weird about that. Don't you think there's something weird about that? I'm going to follow this case because it seems cray. I mean, that's nuts, right? How many people do you have to? How can he constantly be out on bond for murder? The 2 people bludgeoned to death. There was a witness. He tried to kill his girlfriend. Her name was Alice Childers, 31. Alice Renee Childers, the girlfriend of Ryan. What is going on, you guys? It's really weird. I don't understand that case, and we will get back to it. Okay. Really, this is the last part, and it is going to be painful. Because, you guys, I just don't know what to think. Which, does that mean I have an open mind? I don't know. We know a lot about Alex Murdaugh. Spelled like Murdaugh. Spelled like Alex, but it's Alec Murdaugh. Spoiled, probably, by all description. I have a friend who went to law school, not the same year, but around the same year, and saw him out and about, like drinking, like everything we've heard about Paul Apple Tree. Rich people, lots of money, and lots of power because their family members have always been not just lawyers in this small town, but also prosecutors, the solicitor, the main like prosecutor, the DA. So civil, they're big, and they had a civil a defense that was mostly civil cases, and then criminally they were like the law. That pretty much covers everything. And they got really good. If you like got hurt, that's who you went to. You went to their law firm because they would get you these huge settlements. And as we've seen with the Giraldi case, as we've seen with who is the lawyer that represented Stormy Daniels and he stole from her. A lot of these lawyers that get these big, huge settlements, they tend to like maybe dip into it a little bit. Not cool. That allegedly happened with Alec. And we do know, not allegedly anymore, but found to be guilty in a court of law, Russell Lafitte, the banker guy who worked with Murdaugh and said, like, yeah, I did these bad deeds with him. But Alex, now he hasn't been convicted of that yet. So those are still allegations against him, even though the guy who he worked with allegedly for Alec, but for Russell, he's guilty. He's in trouble. He's in jail. Okay. So Alec, not somebody I'd hang out with. And I don't run with that crowd. I wouldn't run with him. Even if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't run with him because I don't play like that. I hate sloppy, messy. And not that I haven't been sloppy, messy myself at times, but I mean, like, no. Plus, I believe in karma, baby. I try really hard can I be selfish? Vain, yes. Selfish, sometimes, sure, yeah. Like at Christmas, do I buy me a present, them a present, me a present? Yeah, I can. Petty, I'm sure. Yeah. I am not perfect by any means. Okay, it's not about me. What I'm trying to say is, but I still believe in karma, and I do try to do better every day, and I try. And I wouldn't steal from anybody because, number one, I'm the opposite. Everybody says, like, you never think it's going to happen to you. I think everything's going to happen to me. Car accident, why not? Like tornado, yeah, it could hit my house. Like cancer, everybody gets it. Why wouldn't I? I don't think I'm like the opposite. I have like negative narcissism. All the bad things are going to happen to me. And so I don't want any more. I don't need any more bad mojo energy. I'm already worried about bad things. So anyways, but Murdaugh doesn't appear allegedly to have worried about any of that. So we know that he was not a nice person, that he threw his weight around literally and figuratively, it seems like. We know his family allegedly, and now there's like legal allegations about drug ties, and not just doing drugs. Like jackpot level drugs. If you know, you know. Mandy Matney has an great background about the Murdaughs, especially the beginning ones. You guys, you have to. She's got like these historical ones about his family. It explains a lot. But does him being a selfish, sort of self-centered oaf who drank and partied too much, tried to get out of everything, get his kids out of everything, like using all the advantages. Does that mean he would murder, in not only just in cold blood, but disgustingly murder his family? And the case that's being set out now. So I have big problems beforehand, which I've discussed here, but now I'm a little confused because we're learning things. It is very like, could I see that he would, I've said in the past, like hire somebody. That's who he seems to me. No offense. He's like, I'm not going to get my hands dirty, but I'd hire somebody to do it. That's what I think. Also, but he's so involved in all this other shady shit. That is how you get people to murder your family. He's basically on the edge of, even though it's polite, low country, Southern society, it is organized crime, people. And I'll tell you something, mob rules 101, don't fuck with the mob. Don't fuck with organized crime, because once you're in, they own you. And if he was doing all that stuff I mean, I don't believe he was doing all that big, huge, basically money laundering by himself. I think all his stealing from clients had to do with the drug stuff. Like there was something way worse than anything. This is all speculation based on what I know, but I just think, let me get to what was happening. So we had opening remarks by both sides. The prosecution, as now I'm sure you guys all know, right? Prosecution goes first, then the defense goes. That's how a trial goes. And each part of the trial, same deal. So opening statements, you hear from the prosecution, and they had a very clear story to tell. This man had a problem. He was taken care of, and the timeline doesn't match up. He lied about where he said he was going to be. Story changed. There's some weird coincidences with, like, we're not, they said this is a circumstantial case, but lots of circumstances add up. We've seen it before. Brian Walsh, where we know, you might not see it happening, but all the things only lead up to one conclusion. So that's what Creighton Waters, the prosecution, the state, is saying. Now, Dick Harpootlian. Do I love Dick Harpootlian? No. I just don't. But do I think Dick Harpootlian is a crazy good lawyer? Yes, I do. Has he proven it thus far? Kind of did. Now, his opening remarks, not the best. I mean, it was a little jumping around, not perfect, misremembered one date, but did point out something very important, especially. So Alex did this heinous act, and then he described it in detail. Did this to his son, did this to his wife. For all intent purposes, they were talking just fine. Right beforehand, suddenly he just flies off the handle and just does this crazy act. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And then people who hate Alex he's hateable. Let's just be honest, right? But they're like, yeah, and then he tried to do this thing where he's talking about there had to be 2 shooters. You guys, here's the deal. So the prosecution got into it today when we're starting to talk to the police officer. There are some very weird, unexplainable facts that we know on both sides. That's why I'm conflicted. I'd like to know more. They said, like, the guy, there's been scuttlebutt talk and testimony that when the police went to look for the caretaker at Alex's mother's house, I believe, saw him bring something into the house after these acts occurred. And it looked like a blue tarp. And they said when they went in, they went, I believe, up into the attic and found but it was a blue wrapped raincoat. And it had, I believe, gun residue on it. Now, Alex, I don't think Alex had gun residue on his hands. This is what I don't understand. He was at a gun scene. The first thing you do when there's someone shot, even if you don't think they did it, but whatever, first protocol, everybody's hands are tested. His truck had gun residue on where you hook it, but I don't think his hands did. I'm very confused about all of this. I'm confused because he was wearing a white shirt that night, but we know that he left and went to visit his ailing mother. And I believe he was seeing his father in the hospital, or had just seen him. Okay, in the South, I don't care how hot it is, you dress at least like in an Oxford button down. You don't dress You don't wear like a white t-shirt like a farmer, especially if you're a Murdoch. That, like, was that really his real clothes, or did he take off whatever the clothes were? Like, was he there? Did he, if he was a shooter? See, there's some weird, it's almost like the things not there make this harder to buy. And both sides have something that's weird. Like Maggie's phone was found in a field far away, and I think they had movement on it. Whatever. It somehow didn't match where Alex was. So how'd the phone get there? I mean, we know she didn't take it. And they kept saying the phones were the I think they said locked. And I think they mean, when you don't use your phone and it's got the lock screen, and then to actually use your phone, you have to, like, it brings up the screen and you touch it. So I think what they mean is their screens, um like, one at a certain time, their screens went blank and they weren't touched again, meaning they didn't even look at their phones. Not that they didn't use it or get on social media. Their phones, the lock screen was, it like happened, and that was it. And the timing is so close. And they're like, oh, and Alex, he texted his wife and he texted her. Like, and I'm thinking, yeah, but you can't say that that's to set up an alibi. I don't know. The person to be walking with their kid and they're playing a video. Like, there's a Snapchat Paul took, and you can hear his parents in the background. That's like at 8:30, whatever. And then somehow within like minutes, Alex somehow has two different guns. Number one, why would you? And they said that he shot Paul first. This is the state's case. Shot Paul first, and then went after Maggie with a different gun. Number one, if you shoot at somebody, boom, boom, okay? Yeah, that other person's going to start running. Either run towards you, like, what the fuck was that? Which I think a mom, I mean, I can't see, if you're going to kill people, I think you would, like, take your son hunting and accidentally kill him. And I don't even think Paul was supposed to be there. So it's weird. Why would he be the first? I don't know. And then why would you pick up a second gun to shoot Maggie? Oh, and what else did we learn about that second gun? This blackout, whatever, weird gun. The one that was like way more powerful. We learned that, well, Paul had that, Alex had bought Paul a gun, this blackout gun, this more automatic heavy duty rifle shooting gun. And Paul lost it. So Alex replaced it. And they say that's the one that did the crime on Maggie. It's missing. But they know because they found shell casings at the pond where they know they shoot that gun. And they found in the shell casings around Maggie, and they are very similar. And let's just say ballistics is totally perfect, which we know it isn't because people look at it and people can make mistakes. But let's just say, yes. Here's what I don't understand. And I think there was different ammo used in the gun. You guys, number one, there's an alternative theory here, which is, who's taken that gun over and over? Like, how is that gun missing? Who took the first time? Paul lost it? If Alec was really the perpetrator and was like taking it to hide it, to use it for nefarious purpose and be like, oh, well, that gun was stolen. So whoever stole it took it. Okay. But one, I don't know if they reported it stolen. They said Paul lost it, but he just bought him another one, the same kind, which in ballistics, it's hard, all I can say is all these things came from this type of gun. But who took that gun? If it was Alex, why would he replace it with a second gun, and that one's now missing? Where are these missing guns? Why were there two guns used? I can never get over that. Now, why did Alex say he didn't go? I guess at first he said he didn't see his son and wife before he went out to see his parents. he saw them when he got back. And then he said, no, that changed. Okay, that's bad. That's really bad. You don't change when you saw somebody when they've been killed. I don't like that. But I way more don't like, where the fuck is the gun? And why was a gun just like it lost? Someone's taken these guns? I still can't see how you shoot one person, then go, hey, the other person's running away, but would you hold on a second? Because I'm going to load up this other gun, or maybe I have this other gun ready. I'm going to pick up the second weapon and I'm going to shoot you with it. Will you just hold on? Because I shot our son's brains out, and I'm going to need you to just wait a second, because then I got to hurry up and get in my car and text you within minutes. So everybody just stay where you are. I mean, that's not how that went down. Now, did he hire somebody? 2 somebodies? Makes a lot more sense. Or did he get in a pickle with organized crime and someone decided to give him, some of his own business? Oh, you like it when people's kids die? Do you, Alec? Do you try to blame it on other people? And I know they looked at all the parents. I'm not saying it has anything to do with the people in the boat accident. What I'm saying is Alec has pissed off a lot of people. Alec is involved in severe, very serious, huge amounts of money, crime related to money laundering, like bank fraud, stealing from his own family, and also, the drugs. Pick your poison. What does the mob do? They kill your family to let you know. I mean, and everybody's like, oh, well, but the reason why is because, and one of the YouTubers I like a lot, they completely misunderstood this. They said, I think they said that Mallory Beach, that they had gotten all of Alex's financials. No, they hadn't. No, it's a civil case. They asked for all of Alex's financials because they were going after his money. But if you read the legal filings by Harpootlian, it pointed out that in civil cases, you don't get what you just because you ask for something doesn't mean you're going to get it. So the idea that they asked for all of his financials and he went, oh my God, you're going to find out. I better kill my wife and son to slow this down due to sympathy. What? It wouldn't make it go. Okay, number one, nothing was making that shit go away. His house of cards was falling down. The deaths were the icing on the cake. But the rest of that stuff, it was coming. That game was played out. His house of cards already the main things were already being pulled out. Not the Mallory Beach thing didn't help at all, but it was more of people at his firm had figured out what was happening. I mean, Fitz News with Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell had been after the Murdochs because of what the hell was going on with the Mallory Beach case, and that Mallory Beach case brought up what happened with Stephen Smith and also Gloria Satterfield, and I mean, that whole mess. He was trying to figure that out, but killing his family, especially when, so he's going to call Maggie to come out from Edisto Beach because he did call her. I'm just thinking out this, like he's getting away with this by, I mean, number one, you don't want to be the one like, I'm going to call you to come to the thing. And Paul wasn't even supposed to be there. So he was just decided I'll blow his brains out too. I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying now. But do I believe he could hire somebody? We haven't heard about insurance money, but I don't think it was enough to get rid of all his problems. And his problems weren't just repaying the money. His problems were like bank fraud. You can't do all that and just go, hey, can I pay you back? Oh, you will, but like restitution is a thing, but it's the act of doing all those things, misrepresenting your clients, suing yourself to get a lot of money, then not giving it, setting up a fake annuity. Okay, I'm just going on, and I've been going on almost for an hour. The point is, Alec is a horrible person. Is he this horrible? And even if he was, the two guns, the person standing there and waiting for him to get, like, why two guns? That makes zero sense to me. And why was that other gun keep disappearing and they bought a new one and then the other one disappeared? Who's taking those guns? It's not Alec, because he'd only have stolen the one and then used it and been like, well, a gun like that was stolen. I guess somebody was going after us, right? Instead, was somebody grabbing that gun for the purpose of setting him up? I don't know. That's I mean, I realize that's a completely crazy idea, but what I'm saying is they should have waited longer to get better evidence, because I'm not sure. That's what there is some reasonable doubt. Is it so? Anyways, Peter Tragos, on The Lawyer, did a really good recap, because he's not streaming. If you want to stream the whole thing, if you want to have fun, watch Ickadmel. If you want to just get the highlights, watch Pretty Lies and Alibis. She does a recap almost every night. She's down there. Or watch if you want to watch the long whole thing and you really want to learn about the law, watch Emily D. Baker. Those are my people that I watch. But right now, I don't know who to believe, which means there's reasonable doubt. I mean, Alex is going to go to jail, people. That's the thing. He's in jail forever anyways because of all his financial crimes. And he forever will not have a son, and now he forever will have those pictures in his head. So he's being punished as we speak. But did he do this? Let me know in the comments what you think. Anyways, so I'm going to get going. Good night. This has been Thursday's nightly nightcap. I'll be back tomorrow. So be safe. Lock your doors, right? Bye.